Hello, guys. Sound back on. There we go.
Your god.
A piece of peace that we shall deliver.
Ganesh.
A piece of peace that we shall deliver.
Dude, my hands are already sweaty. I haven't even begun doing anything yet. It's really hot today. So, if it keeps getting hotter, which it obviously will, because the sun has pretty much just started hitting my apartment, I might not want to stream when it gets really, really hot. Which is why the title is the way it is. Hey, Benji. So yeah, I lost my thought process, but you guys hear what I'm saying. It's hot. If it gets hotter, I might not want to wear a headset, because I tend to become very, I guess, vulnerable to headaches for some reason when it gets really hot, and wearing a headset just makes it much worse. So, if it gets hotter or gets really uncomfortable, I'll just have to end the stream early, but because it's looking like it's gonna get pretty hot today. There is a decent breeze, but I don't feel that obviously inside my apartment, so let me see. Didn't actually check how hot it's gonna be today. Yeah, it's gonna be the hottest day in a while, actually. Okay. It's gonna get pretty hot. Amaterasu, huh? Okay. Dude, I definitely got baby gamed. Woof. Got giga baby gamed. Good on playing Cthulhu, I guess. I suppose.
I shall rain tectonic destruction upon our enemies.
I'm definitely not stacking HP in this game, I think. No warlocks.
Nothing better than showing them who's boss.
Just because they have armor. I would be a very easy Kin's target if I went heavy on HP. I'll still go a decent amount, because that's just the way you do it, but... Hey Neo, man. Good to see you. What's up? I'm good. I'm good today. It's hot. As the title is saying, we'll see how long I go for, because it's gonna get pretty hot today. And I'm very vulnerable to headaches when it gets hot. So.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, I think the drop-off is gonna be a while for us still. At least comparing to last summer. Last summer lasted for a long fucking time. But it was also just really hot in general. Last summer was really, really tough. Maybe it wasn't the last one, maybe it was the previous one. Before that.
Out of the fire and into the frying pan.
Okay, some good early poke.
Okay, so maybe a little salt did hurt someone.
Oof, man.
Are you implying that
That's
I
tough.
made a mistake?
Your left tower is under attack. Enemy spotted.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Might get early ganked.
Missing middle.
That would be unfortunate.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Dude, he's actually just dead if I decide to do anything there, but yeah, there he is.
On my way.
Swirl with magma. Enemy spotted.
Attack. I'm not done.
Unfortunate. Didn't have anything left. I could probably have went way deeper than I did. Baited a bit more.
Retreat.
That was a meltdown.
This disrespect will not go unpunished. Too much.
Yeah, we gotta go back. Susano's 5. He shouldn't be sticking around for this. Damn, good too. We need 5 before we want to fight this.
You must have choked on the meatball.
Now my blood's pumping.
You have slain an enemy. Bravo.
Might be greeting here. No, it's good. Susano's over there.
Enemy spotted.
We Gucci.
Looks like this can take the heat.
What's the hacker smurf in terms of MMO? You can't call it that, man. People will just start actually calling it that. You can't. People will just believe that. But I haven't stopped. I pretty much stopped playing on it. It's like, if I have to reveal it anyway, people know it's me. It doesn't fucking matter. I pretty much like said it on stream like what the name is anyway. And for the people who may not have heard, my smurf is oh, smurf. I think it's the wrong word. Alt. My alt was called 5x5, and I pretty much just used it for the lols of it, just to have a different account to play on where people didn't just instantly recognize me, and you know, kind of like in this game where someone recognizes me and they instantly expect me to either dumpster the lobby or because they only know me by name. Like,
We control
Pacha your spaghetti!
so you get the idea. It was just kind of to be anonymous, but after being recognized as a hacker, I decided doesn't matter now being recognized anyway, just in a worse way. So I decided it wasn't worth it. There's kind of no point in playing on the old anymore, just because of that. Not, I mean, if it wasn't because Smite 2 is coming out literally next week, basically, or like 2 weeks now, I would probably try to just fix the reputation on the account. But it doesn't matter, man. It was just an ult to be anonymous, and that's kind of gone. It's irrelevant now. So if I play on offline, or like off stream, I guess I'll just use my main account. Oh.
On my way.
Didn't see her there.
Yes.
Mamma mia, not again! Your middle tower is under attack.
An enemy has been slain. 2 meatballs is better than 1. Wow! Compliments! Triple kill! Thanks!
Damn, good job.
Compliments to the chef.
Triple kill.
You impress me.
Gamework is gaming, man.
Cancel that.
I'm gonna grab this before it despawns.
I'm returning to base.
Also means I won't be able to invade, though.
Attack left lane. Ultimate is ready. Enemy ultimate down.
Oh, you finally got the MR back? If you want to, we can queue together. Like, if anyone recognizes me as a hacker again, I'll just throw my name out there again. Like, I'm literally playing on stream. I can't prove to you anymore that I'm not hacking than just playing on stream. You can see what I'm doing. Well, I'm pretty sure my ult is almost the same as my main. Like, it's still 2500, I'm pretty sure. 2500 MMR or something like that. Or my main here is, I don't know, late 2600s I think now. Because I lost so much yesterday. Actually, no, I think actually I'm 27. I think I ended on a win, which resulted in 2700.
Enemies in the right zone.
That was a salty and joke.
No body blockage. Kind of a premature ult, I suppose. My ult is a lot bigger for her to get than me getting hers.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, 2 days ago I lost a lot. I did, yeah. Yesterday was fine, I think. It was alright. It was about even, I think, in my terms of wins and losses.
That is quite unfortunate.
On my
Returning
way.
to base. Enemy missing. Careful left.
It's poor armor.
An enemy has been slain.
You want an apology? Don't hold your breath.
Meltdown.
Ultimate is ready.
I didn't even realize my tower went down, or the tower went down. I could have just chased. No.
The fresh meat
Sad.
has been tenderized. Triple kill.
Dude, gamer is gaming. I don't know what's happening. They all died 3 times. What's happening?
Enemy spotted.
Dude, I'm not even sure what I want to build here. I'll just go mystical mail. Be more aggressive, I guess.
Kill will be your last.
Yeah, I know Dutch left with the, or essentially, you know, ended up having the lobby crashers in his chat sniping, and when he ever got into a game, they just did their thing, you know.
Attack the fire giant.
You must have shocker on the meatball. Double kill. You threw the pizza fire. Triple kill.
At this point, I feel like they should just surrender.
Under attack. That's too bad. Attack fire giant.
It's not looking good for them. They can't rely on anyone to really carry this game. We're just gonna keep getting a lead unless we somehow throw everything. We almost have a 10k lead at 14 minutes, man. It's Jover. I forgot to swap my Tiki, like an idiot.
Gank.
Better not not melt.
I don't know why this isn't actually an instant cast for me. Put that shit in instant cast. The dash, put that shit in instant cast. I have pretty much decided. These types of abilities where I have to aim it like this, I'm gonna wait keeping those on instant cast. But I should put everything else.
Welcome. How can you assist me?
Like the small cones and stuff, like Vamana 2, shit like that should just be an instant cast. I'll take this trade. I still have my ult too. He wants it. Understandable. I wouldn't be able to take that trade. If his third item is Kins, I can't trade him anymore. That attack speed combined with Kins will fuck me up. Well, I can still trade, but I won't be able to box like that. Armor is unironically really good against the current meta gods, because you build so much HP, and you just build Kins, and just shits on you. Yeah, I'm putting shit in instant cast, finally. It's happening. Bit by bit. I mean, some gods like Clio is fully instant cast. In the past, you could hide your Q and dodge the way an MR gets to the game series. Pretty much. I think one of the big problems now is there's just not enough people. It's so easy to Q snipe people now. Unfortunately. So people just Q snipe if you want to fuck up their game. That's also why you don't hear, like, hacking is everywhere. It's not a new thing, right? But in a small player-based situation, you can just literally ghost people and snipe people so easily, like you can in Smite right now. The sun is hitting my fan, and it almost makes like a disco ball effect. It needs to stop doing that. Okay. Let's get back to the list. I can also check my MR real fast. Yeah, it's on the 27s. I mean, one more win and I'm back in the 28s, so. Let's see if we can keep it up. Alright, so we finished with Sekiro last time, I believe. No, we didn't. We finished with the Elden Ring base stuff. And yeah, now we have all the Elden Ring random outside bosses. Let me just check if there's anything unique in here that I might want to actually put in. I will say, I'm not gonna rank all of these, dude. Everything on this page right here is all Elden Ring mini boss bullshit. I'm not ranking all of them. But I will do special shoutouts, just in case. Crucible Knights, I think, are fucking cool. You're not gonna rank Godefroy? Dude, that's crazy. I can't believe they actually just used him again. One I will rate, just for memes, obviously, Patches is goated. Always. Patches is goated. He has to be there, man. There we go. Patches, you're goated. So, anyway. Crucible Knights, low-key, I think is one of the best, most enjoyable enemies to fight in general in Elden Ring for me. I love how easily, like, well telegraphed they are. I love how cool they are using the Crucible magic. They're so fucking cool. I love them. I never got tired of fighting the Crucible Knights. Anything else? I mean, obviously the Falling Star Beasts and stuff like that are pretty cool the first time. Also funny, I actually enjoyed the Earth Tree Avatar bosses. They're super easy, but I mean, it's an Asylum Demon, man. It's just an upgraded Asylum Demon, but it's still pretty cool. I like it. The Draconic Tree Sentinels are also pretty cool, I think, as well as just the Tree Sentinels. So, what the fuck is this? Esgar Priest of Blood. Is that just a random dude? Yeah, it is. Okay, never mind. That's the weird guy. That's the guy with the gigantic hood, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Vike almost okay. You know what? Vike is kind of has to go into the cool cool lore whatever boss, because that's such cool. He's got great lore. He's kind of the guy, you know. He's the dude. He's on the cover page too. Oh, it's to do with the snails. I see. Gotcha. I also actually kind of enjoy the alterated tree spirits. They were definitely overused, but I actually did enjoy them in a room where you could see what was happening. In the closed small dungeon rooms, fuck no. But when you can see what's going on, I actually don't think it's that bad. Wormface is actually a unique boss. I'll throw you Wormface in here because that's the only one. Even though you know Wormface is just a bigger version of the normal guys, but Wormface is simply it has some more unique moves as well, and it's fucking huge, which is kind of cool. I enjoyed it. I'll just throw it in average because there is definitely some hitbox bullshit tied to this boss, but I say a low average boss is nice. I liked it. Yeah, can no hit the tree spears nowadays? Yeah, same. We dealt with them so much. Alright, DLC time then. I'll just leave these here for the people that may not have heard me say it yesterday. I'm just leaving all of these, there's no reason for me to throw all of these dungeon bosses into one of the tiers up here when I'm not going to rank them anyway. So I'm leaving them here. Mimic tier? I mean, Mimic tier doesn't really matter. It's just yourself, right? The Stray Mimic tier as well, I believe. This isn't even just... Like, it's just yourself, man. It depends on you. It's kind of an NPC fight. It can either be incredibly fucking easy or kind of bullshit, because maybe you have a double... what is it called? Rivers of Blood. If you have double Rivers of Blood or some shit, then yeah, it might not be that easy, but otherwise, it's pretty fucking easy. Divine Beast Dancing Lion. That's the first DLC boss here. I think this sets the very good pace for the DLC. I feel like I'm not the best judge of this boss. I'm not gonna lie. I one-shot this boss. I first tried it. So, only after... I mean, I guess I'm a decent judge now because I have played... I've done it twice. I did it, obviously, the second version of it in the garden on the map in my first playthrough, but I've since then done specifically the first boss here on 2 other playthroughs. And I think it's great. I think it definitely can have that like camera bullshit at times, but I overall think this is an awesome first boss to fight in the DLC. It probably goes into high grade for me. I can't say it's better than Gascoigne, for example, who kind of holds that same position as like an early boss, but I definitely liked it more than Melania. I'll tell you that much. So I think this fits. Yeah, fix the camera and just goaded. It's very, very cool. I feel like if Divine like Beast is in nearly perfect, I would have to move these 3 up as well. Let me ban something here. Why not move those? Because I'm not sure I think they're on the same level as the others. I don't think Lady Butterfly, for example, is the same as like Great Shinobi Owl at all. Or German for that matter, or... I mean, definitely better than Elden Beast, but Radagon is so high for me. And once again, I think one of my issues with it is that it's kind of easy. It might just be for my build, or I don't know, maybe it's just one of those times where it's just one of those bosses I don't struggle with, but I don't know, I just didn't struggle with it. I'll do a chat game. It's been a while. I can't be asked to do another Guardian. So yeah, I think the easiness also ticks down slightly. I can always put it up a bit if I end up regretting it, but for now I think it's a good spot. Relana. My first kind of big wall. I mean, no, 100% my first wall in the DLC. It took me about 3 hours to kill this boss. All on stream, and I was getting depressed. Because I was like, what the fuck? One thing I will note or mention here. I think one of the reasons why I struggled on this boss was because I had a colossal weapon. I was slow as fuck, and she was so hard to figure out when I actually had a chance to ever attack her. Because she doesn't really give you a whole lot of like ways to actually attack. She doesn't have a whole lot of windows. She has then been nerfed. And I tried her again, and she's actually not that bad anymore. But release Rolana was kind of fucking rough. She was kind of rough. A different side of it, I didn't enjoy the fight very much. Not because of the difficulty. I just didn't really enjoy it that much. I would put it lower than like Dancing Lion here. I enjoyed it more than Millennia, I think. But I don't know, did I? I feel like I kind of put them on the same position. I just didn't like the boss flow. This is definitely one of my hot takes of the DLC, because I know how like some people love the Rolana, like to absolute hell. It's their favorite boss of the DLC. I just didn't. I think she's great. Like she's still in, like one of the top 3 tiers here, but I couldn't get into the fight all that much. Yeah, top 3 fights of all time. Yeah. Yeah, I think my hottest take of the DLC is Rolana, probably. But we'll see. Maybe there is another bigger hot take. The Shadow Tree avatar here is incredibly unique, and something that I feel like FromSoft hasn't done before, which is always cool to see, I think, even if it doesn't always work out. I found it pretty late. I probably did this boss, like, once again, I one-shot this boss, but I definitely got to this boss too late. I didn't find it in time. But I think this boss is nearly perfect, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's great. No, it's definitely nearly perfect. I think it's awesome. It's an awesome fight. It's well telegraphed for being a pretty big enemy. It's, for the most part, like, has a pretty good difficulty. And yeah, I don't really have any big complaints about it. It's not higher than that. I think it's definitely higher than Godric. I think Godric is slightly too high here, maybe. No, actually, no. I think Godric is fine here. I take that back. I like Godric a lot. But Gaius, well, this one's fucking easy. Gaius, you're actually garbage tier. You're the worst, one of the worst bosses. Okay, let me rephrase this. Gaius has the potential to be very, very good, but because of the messed up hitbox and the charge attack, it made it unnecessarily shit. The hitbox on Gaius actually made me want to not do the fight at all. I think Gaius goes in my book as shit tier as Capra Demon in Dark Souls 1. No, it's 0 issues. Yeah, I think the biggest complaint about the DLC was his hitbox. It was so atrocious on the dash for some reason, for so many people, and I don't know if there's like a glitch involved with it, but it was so strange. The hitbox was so bad. It just hit you sometimes when you weren't even around it. And then there was all the glitches where he gets stuck in the wall and stuff. That was also really weird. There was definitely a decent amount of glitches on the fight. That didn't help his situation. What the fuck am I against? Searcher. Great. Bro, I haven't played... What do I build these days? I haven't dealt with this shit in a while. Guess I'll do Phoenix Shield. Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely also had issues with the hitboxes. It was really weird. I'm honestly very disappointed that he was a boss that was greenlit when he had a hitbox that was that bad. Because I think the rest of the fight, it really isn't, like, that bad. I think he kind of suffers from the same problem I think I had with Melania in the beginning. It's obviously not the same with Melania, because Melania's did work as intended, but this hitbox on Gaius was so fucking bad. It really was. I missed my auto, this game's over. The lore on his pants is funny though. I'll give him that. Cool pants lore. Oh, okay. My one is an instant cast. I forgot. I'm putting that back to normal cast. I forgot, dude. I just scrubbed my whole lane because of that. Oh no. Oh no. Now it's actually Jover. It's Jover. I can't believe I did that. I haven't played Warriors in such a long time, I feel like. It's been Guardians non-stop, and I just fucked my lane so hard into a Searcher who will absolutely dominate me now.
Enemy missing left. Be careful, middle. Cancel that. Wow, he must have joker on the meatball.
Alright, Gamer is on it again. Hear me, Gamer. It's a farm lane for me now. I have to just sit back. I lost pretty much the full wave as well off of that. I'm living the hammer for the range clear. No more two. Alright, see you, Benji. Enjoy. I don't know if Gamer is a smurf. I have no clue. I feel like I've seen the name before, but I'm also not sure I've seen the name before.
Missing right.
Gamer is on it.
Be right back. Enemy spotted. There's no escape. Enemies in the right jungle.
I can stick around now, I guess. Oh, the Susano was the same armor I was doing with the last game. Interesting. I kind of already regret leveling my one. I don't actually want to do that.
Enemy has been slain. Enemy spotted. Let the night fall. Run. There's no escape.
Ah, it's gonna back.
Enemy spotted.
Ultimate is down.
Damn it, I lost the wave for that though. I only went in because Nesha was coming, and then Nesha didn't come any. Nesha decided to not be around. Also, something I learned when I played Searcher last time, which is kind of bullshit, I'm not gonna lie, it just happened to me here. You can use Thorns, and it will still hit you, hit the enemy, if you're below them inside your ult. It's actually kind of horseshit. I don't know why that's a thing, I feel like it shouldn't be. But I kept doing it when I played Searcher. Yeah, he is good. He's playing really well.
Just passed away like that?
He has a bit of a temper, I've noticed, but he's a good player.
Run if you can.
Yeah, I can't. I'm too far behind. I can't fight him.
There is no escape. Run. Run if you can. There is no escape.
Yeah, Susano I feel like isn't... He's not that good, from what I could tell from the last game. He's tilted as we speak. That's funny.
I feel no pain.
It's good regrowth. Oh, he has 3 deaths already too. I feel like he shouldn't be in this queue. Maybe it's a bit evil of me to say, but skill level wise, it seems like he's a bit out of his league.
Run. Run if you can. There is no escape.
Your right tower is under attack.
The 2-level diff though.
He must have shotgun on the meat.
Enemy spotted. I walk in darkness.
Your left tower is under attack.
Run. Run if you can. Escape.
Ally has been slain.
There is no escape. Run if you can. Let the light fall. There is no escape. Run. Run if you can.
Comba is here.
There is no escape.
Okay. Dude, if Comba wasn't here, that'd be nice. I would enjoy that.
There is no escape. Run.
What a weird fucking game. What is happening?
Run if you can.
I mean, at this point, I'll just take it, because I need to get unbaby gamed. I can't join the big boys right now. Am I good enough to be with the big boys? That's questionable. We'll see. But, actually, if I have to give my complete honest opinion on where my skill level is compared to the, you know, someone like Ducky or, obviously, I mean, nowhere near Nika at the moment, but, it's not near them, I will say. Just based on how I play. I think most of it, to be honest though, is matchup knowledge. I'm so lost in some matchups. You're better than Ducky and Lists on Nesha? I don't know if I'm better than Ducky. Like, when I look at Ducky play, I think it's mostly the way he responds to matchups. He does that way better than me. This matchup will be nice, I just need to finish my stuff now. Because now I caught up, now we shouldn't be able to... to lose that easily. Regrowth on. Wait, there's no way we can kill each other though. I'm pretty sure we have to both overstay like fuck. He went Stoner Gaia too. His regen is insane. I think my magic item has to be Pesty. I buy Pridwin when I think I can stick to the backline. Otherwise, I don't actually buy Pridwin anymore. I started going Breastplate more again. Like I did on Cthulhu in my last game. Dude. We gotta get something here, team. We can't just look and do nothing. They used fucking everything. Might be ganking me. Kilo does your Pridwin well, though. I think he does it pretty well. But you're right. He's not one of the... It's kind of like building it on mana. I get it.
That's too bad. I walk in darkness. Retreat, retreat.
Unfortunate. I imagine I lost my blue for this. That's the real victim in all this. Don't have blink, but I'm coming. Susano's still around.
There is no escape. Run! Run if you can. Run if you can.
Dude, I actually suck. I actually suck. I'm just completely out of mana now. Dude. Fucking believe it. We both suck. On her Aegis, what else did he use? I don't even know anymore. Whatever. I don't believe. I can't believe that happened. Dude, we fought for so long and I didn't get anything out of it because I didn't get a kill. And Searcher was just farming after he died. Did Combo use sleep during death? I think he did. He must have. It's just the Honor was hitting us, so... I'm not sure it mattered a whole lot.
I walk in darkness.
And that shit has a long cooldown, so you can basically only really use it once. Yeah, lost blue again. It just spawned too.
Waste of time.
But yeah, I take back what I said about Susano. Susano's actually playing really well now. So, cancel that. He showed up.
Run! Run! Escape. Enemies incoming left. Ally has been slain.
I can't even rotate for that. It's too late now.
Compliment the chef. There is no escape.
He blinked.
Your right tower is under attack.
That's so weird.
An enemy has been slain.
Run!
Oops.
Run if you can.
I'm still getting used to the instant cast on Chuck. Some things are just too deep in my roots, man. I'm not used to instant cast Chuck.
I walk in darkness. Run if you can. Enemies in the left jungle. There is no escape.
Chuck doing Chuck things.
Run! Run if you can. Escape.
Oh, damn. Destroyed by the wall. I think the wall just joined him back, didn't it? That's unfortunate. Feel like he should have gotten out.
Run if you can.
I'm backhand before something happens. Hey, Seagull, what's up, man?
I feel no pain.
An enemy has been slain. Two meatballs.
Hercules is top damage. Damn. Dude, Honor has a gigantic lead as well in duo. Susano is left, so.
Run if you can. With me. There is no escape. Run if you can. There is no escape. Take more than that to stop me. Let the night fall. There is no escape. There is no escape.
Stop ruining me!
I walk in darkness. There is no escape. Run. Run if you can.
Dude, the honor was pulled away. That sucks. Absolute waste of ult.
There is no escape. Run. Run if you can. Breathe.
I'm just dead. I'm baiting. I'm just dead. We're baiting time. Damn. What am I looking at in terms of items here? Yeah, he's dead. Dude, what is Oron building? Why doesn't he have any attack speed? Dude, what the fuck is he building? Oh no. I have a bad vibe. I think I'll either do Arch Druid or Binding here. Probably Arch Druid, because I feel like we're gonna need the damage. Yeah, actually, I believe we're gonna win. It's fine, guys. No worries. Damn. Alexia trolling me now. Rough. I need 20 real bad as well. I would buy more wards. These fucking things. Give me them vision. Okay, they're not here. I need 20 so badly. It's gonna do such a big difference when my ult actually gets used that it does fucking damage. They were just waiting. Damn, if we had anyone close to it, that actually would not have been a bad fight. Damn it. Too greedy for farm.
Enemy spotted. Ward here.
I honestly am not sure why we ulted the Searcher. Right there. Why are we Nasha ulting the Searcher? We need to be on the carries, especially when they're doing fire. But I'm not really there, so I did an oopsie, so can't blame my team for that. Dude. I'm just dead again, dude. Whatever. Whatever, man. We don't have any team play in this. We aren't grouping. Oleron just ran in and died again. I shouldn't have tried to help him. I should have gotten out instead of ulting. I have some bad ults this game, though. Nice. That's funny. Dude, I need so little for 20. Dude, imagine taking damage while you're still in the air with a combo ult just because of fucking Nuwa. Fucking tragic. She is. Don't really think we're getting anything more from that. Once again, a bad ult. Just getting sold by the combo, dude. Alright, it's good. He's got him. Nice.
I walk in darkness. Run, you can.
Oh no, not the Oni fire waves.
Run if you can. A waste of time. There is no escape.
Enemies have returned to base.
There is no escape. I fall.
Dude, Oleron. My dude. Yeah, that is just unfortunate. Blink just didn't want to go over the wall. Unfortunate.
No problem. You slayed it. Warcraft, group up, group up. There is no escape. I walk in darkness. Hear the shifting sands. Run. Run if you can. There is no escape.
No, let's get some words.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Damn it! Wrong thing! Guess I'm colorblind.
Enemies spotted.
An enemy has been slain.
Nice job. Enemy ultimate down.
Compliment to the chef.
Damn, swearing, Nuwa, chill.
You're not again.
Just got a 3k pot. I can finish my beats or my blink as well, which I probably should have. But it's fine.
There is no escape. Run. Run. Destroyed the pyramid. I walk in darkness.
It's on her beats, I guess. My blink finished itself. We got him. The jock's coming in big. Dude. How did he also die, bro? I don't fucking believe it. Oh, dude.
Let the night fall.
Okay.
I feel no pain. Run. I walk in darkness.
Link's up soon. He's too fast anyway. Honor is here. That's nice. Yeah, the Chuck's coming in big now. Nuwa is not getting a chance. No, no more. We're not having any of it. The knockback kill. Alright, good shit. Look at that. At least you can always count on Chuck being there for late game, even if you lose the laning somehow. Damn, I'm kind of happy about that one. Not the laning though. The laning was kind of shit. Chuck is the best soul in the game. I think Cthulhu wins. I think a good Cerberus has the potential to be better as well. But I do think Chuck's general teamfight potential is insane. He's such a powerful teamfight ultimate. As well as just... If you use the slow correctly, if you throw a good axe with a good big like range slow, it's also pretty massive for a teamfight. Well, there's some good words on our team too. And it actually wasn't on me for once. That's kind of nice. Combo with 8 kills as well. Well, I can tell you what went wrong for their team already. No one was peeling. I was just kind of left to do whatever I wanted. I wasn't able to kill Nuwa or even Susano in my full combo. I was able to kill him because I was able to chase them down. His combo was there either for a mess or just a 2. I wouldn't have been able to finish them off. They would have been out of the fight. But I couldn't chase them anymore. With peeling, this would have made such a big difference for them. I'm not sure we had much peeling either, though, to be completely fair. Only difference was I was able to kill the new, or maybe even the Honor faster than they were able to kill our back. In terms of warriors, I definitely think Chuck is the best. Like, Chuck and Cocolan, I think, are the best. Solos by a pretty large margin. I don't think anyone really comes close, to be honest. Maybe Mulan. But that's about it. Cocolan and Chuck have so much teamfight potential because of their like gigantic ultimates, and Cocolan has 2 of them. I think Cocolan is easier to lock down and kill than Chuck is. And he has less disruption because he doesn't have like Chuck's fucking heal. But I think Cocolan is pretty much just as big of a menace if it's played well. Sometimes even worse. I think Cocolan does more damage than Chuck. Because you can aegis a lot of Chuck's stuff. Cocolan keeps throwing out stuff. He's always going to have something new. Not to mention the constant ticking of his aura. We can continue this a little bit. I was too busy talking. I got distracted. What do we end on? Gaius, right. I might be too hard on Gaius, but I don't honestly think I am. I had such a bad time fighting that boss. I'm not gonna lie. I don't actually want to put it much higher. I had just as bad of a time playing as Gaius as I did as Lower and Dark Beast, I think. So anyway. Enough Gaius hate. Mesmer! I have to scroll so far now to get all the way up. Climbing a mountain here. Mesmer is probably the best Elden Ring boss of them all. Question is, where would I put him compared to all the other really good ones up here? I think he's better than Dancer for me. I think he's better than Lady Maria for me. Is he better than Orphan of Cost, though? I don't know, man. I have incredible soft spot for bosses in Sekiro and Dark Souls 3. I really do. Let me see. Probably is better than Orphan of Cause as well. I think that's mostly the age. Like, there's essentially a 9-year difference between these bosses coming. Maybe like an 8, considering it's a DLC. So you feel the time and the improvements FromSoft have done in Mesmer more than obviously you do if you went back and did Cause. But I don't know, dude. It's hard for me to put him over Ludwig. I do think Ludwig is probably higher than Nameless King here, though. And then this would probably be like that. I think this is... So he's top 6. He's not top 5 for me. Well, actually, no, he is top 5. Because these two are still the same. Yeah, never mind. So he is top 5, technically. And, well... No, actually, he is top 3 now. Because these are all the same. Ishin is just... This is just all Ishin. The top 3. But I don't put Ishin. He's not over Gale for me. Gale is incredible for me. I love them. Whale. Next up, Putrescent Knight. Not a word that I'm good at saying. Putrescent. Cool in concept. Not the funniest to play, I think. Like, it's fine. Oh, I'm putting it way too high here. I just think it's good. It's very cool. I wouldn't be willing to almost throw it in cool lore, whatever boss. Shit, why did I put him? Where is he? There he is. It's definitely better than someone like Priscilla down here. I liked it more than Fume Knight. Not more than Fire Giant or Malekith, I think, though. So I think top good is pretty nice. Bale the Dread. Curse you, Bale! But I love you, Bale. You're pretty cool. Pretty much the best dragon fight FromSoft has ever made. And it's only amplified heavily by one of the best NPCs they have ever made. This one is probably here for me, though. I like the fight very, very much. It's not even higher than Genichiro Father for me, actually. It's hard, dude. When you get to the Goated era, it's fucking tough. Because do I like him more than... I think he's better than Reinhardt for me. I don't think he's better than Horolu for me, though. Bale is up here, though. And the thing is, he's kind of almost revolutionary, because he finally FromSoft made an incredibly well-done dragon fight. Oh, it's... Yeah, it's lore, like everything about it is great. Cinematically, the lore behind it, the way it plays, like it's all around perfect. Not much to say. Or maybe that's too much to say. Romina, Saint of the Bud. Romina is pretty cool. I think I only really have one complaint about Romina. I actually think this is a fantastic boss. It's just way too easy. That's honestly it. It would have been probably in the nearly perfect. Or honestly, it probably is like the lowest nearly perfect. It's just, it was way too fucking easy. She's so mad, give that. I mean, strictly just talking in the boss fight and the flow of the boss, I thought it was awesome. It was so much fun. It almost gave me like flashbacks to Kraylog, but just better. Because there wasn't a bunch of shit on the ground. Well, it kind of was, but not in the same way. And one of them 3 mandatory bosses in DLC with 0 story behind her. Yeah. It was cut too. She had some voice lines that was cut. I heard those too. That's unfortunate. So that was probably something that was planned, but it was just cut. Right, I'm building the right thing this time. Gilded Arrow. Here we go. Now we're gaming. Amma? Amma. The Amma T. I am probably thinking about a... I don't want to do Thorns, I think, this game. I'm going TP. I'm against Amma. I actually don't know this matchup either. I'm still new to Bake. The whale journey is new for me. I don't know if she wins the level 2, or if I do. I feel like I should I should win the level 2, but she has the potential to just kill me, because I need my dash to clear the wave. Yeah, I think I'll always do Tower Start on Baki, I think. I don't like doing... I take way too much damage otherwise. But yeah, I think I do Tower Start. You're right. Actually, I guess with Gildy, it doesn't take it. You can easily do it without doing the Tower Start, but yeah, I need that early. Because it's Soyeto again. I imagine he might be going Thorns. He seems to be like me. He likes the Thorns quite a lot to start with. Thorns Blink is OP. I think it's all right. I think the main thing I want on well, the thing is, I don't think you need Blink on him. I agree with you that it is good, but I don't think you need it. And I'm doing this because I don't want to make sure I don't lose the lane. Like, even if you get killed with TP, you can still make it to get the wave. That's why. And the rotation power is always nice. I don't want to ignore TP. If anything, I should have gone Thorns for the simple reason that wait, what the fuck is happening in Duo? Oh, it's a Nesha, I see. Nesha support. I should have gone Thorns so I could also have beats. Because they have hunt bots.
An enemy has been slain.
Whale. There's a lot of things he could be referring to right now. I'm not sure which one of those. Could be the baby games. Could be the tryharding. I'm not sure. Oh, he thinks I'm tryharding. I don't think Baki is that like insanely overpowered. And I definitely don't think that Amma should be dying to him at level 2, I can tell you that much. I missed the blue XP because I was typing.
Your middle tower is under attack.
An ally has been slain. You think you can just pass away like that?
I do want to emphasize when I'm saying not that good, I still mean that he is very good, but... It's more like... He's very good like in the early laning phase, but I feel like he falls off a bit after that. He's one of the easier ones to focus down, if you ask me. But who am I to judge? Alright, time to back. I'm against Amma again, though. I don't really want to do... Yeah, Amma's pretty decent into him as well. I mean, I said it in the last game as well. I think Amma kind of dumpsters the... like, the really powerful souls at the moment when she gets a few items online. I'm not gonna lie. I think she's very good.
Slowly but surely.
I mean, it's very classic Amma in general, though, standing back until you have a few items and then you kill everything. That's just how she works a lot of the time. This matchup wouldn't change. If, like, it would be the same if I was playing Chaka or Kokolin. It's not like she does any better into those. Or even Searcher, for that matter, like he played last game, so... The only reason why I think Bake is even that good at the moment is just because of Curse Weaver. I think if Curse Weaver wasn't a thing, people wouldn't really play Bake that much. I could be completely wrong, like this might just be a bad take, but that's what I think. I can't believe I got that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think some of the auto attackers though kind of also needs the other abilities they have, like Osiris. Osiris wants to keep slowing and poking you, so Curse Weaver will eventually get to him as well. I think the difference between Amma though is that she doesn't really need other abilities. She can easily wait a bit once she starts attacking you. Damn. My voice is going away. Growing older by the minute. Even though Cyrus feels fine? Yeah, I think he's one of the better ones too. The thing is, I agree with your statement, 100%. And the thing with solo at the moment, just on the same thought process as you mentioned before, or as we even talk about now, I think a lot of solo pressure comes from getting an early lead. Some matchups sure don't matter a whole lot, but Amaterasu does not want to fall behind against anything, because she already struggles a bit in the early game. That only gets amplified if you fall behind, which is what happened. And anyone, literally anyone, can kill each other at level 2 or 3 in solo. That all depends on if you have like shit like thorns or you misstep or whatever the fuck. You saw it before. I went against Searcher.
slain.
Poke. That sucks. He rotated, got a kill. I rotated and got nothing. Whatever. Skip breastplate.
Weak flesh will meet my indomitable spirit.
You guys probably heard that loud ass
Been slain.
bike outside. Now that it's hot, people gotta show them off, huh? Loud. It's not a worth gang, hold on.
Mamma mia, not again!
Scott looks so stupid. What do you mean? He looks great. Why are you judging him based on the way he looks, huh? It's kinda mean, don't you think? Actually, what do you get for leveling this? Oh, bonus attack damage, huh? That thing still really hurts to tank. Yeah, we're starting to reach the point where Amma will win our exchanges.
Your right tower is under attack.
Damn, that's lucky.
Block out the sun.
I didn't get my 2 off. I'm not sure if I think I fat fingered something. My 2 didn't go off in time.
Your right tower is under attack.
I forgot what I wanted to build. Like completely. What the hell am I building? I guess I'll just do this straight away. Fuck it. The defense? Oh, I'm definitely building defense. I just forgot what I wanted to build. I love me some well gameplay. What's up, Dutch? Good to see you. Yeah, it's starting to get tough. Amma will start clapping me now. Late Frostbound is interesting though. I'm not getting to that in time. Not against Amma. I'll just join this.
Mamma mia, not again! You think you gonna just pass away like that?
My whole team just died. Rough, man. Don't worry, guys. I got this.
You can hear the ocean, and it can hear you.
He's probably taking my blue as well. Wave! Stop! Okay.
Enemies! Incoming middle! Enemy ultimate down!
Oh. Damn. The easiest 100 gold of my life. Just gave me back my sentry. This might actually be worth rotating for. Dude, I don't know what I'm building. I'll grab this, just so I have some more magic protection in case Sobek for some reason builds full damage. He's not, but... No, dude, what? I was joking. He's building... Sobek is building full damage. Sobek's a mage. Oh, okay. I need defense. Sobek has got a full mage. Do more spear. He has 6 deaths, but he probably does pretty good damage. Hey Jack, good to see you. You have baited. Rough, man. Amma might actually have sold the pyro there. I don't think I can get this anyway. Like, so secure is just way better than mine. I even almost kind of fucked it up.
An enemy has been slain.
The body block was real. I didn't get my dash off in time. Maybe I should have gone Mystical Mail. It's still a bit too late now, it's not going to be as useful, but... I should have started Mystical Mail. Grab this before I go. Well, with all this physical... Dude, I don't even know. Midgardian, maybe? I'll look at Midgardian. I mean, Chiron is one thing, but I mean, he's not really going to be hitting me a whole lot with autos. I guess I'll get it specifically for armor. And then the rest is just a bonus.
Careful, on my way. Your left tower is under a D-right enemy. Retreat.
Compliments to Shay.
Incoming.
An enemy has been slain.
Attack, fire giant.
Slowly but surely.
We should just do fire here. If we get the chance to.
You gonna just pass away like that?
Only as much suffering as you have earned.
Not what I want to press. Well, I guess I should have tried to help out Terra. That sucks. I thought we had a better chance of fighting that too. They literally all ignored me and ran out of my ult. I couldn't get to anyone. Holy shit. Good fucking damage. Gamer is gaming once again. And Ragnar. Ragnar online.
Attack, fire giant.
The land will be consumed by the waters.
On my way. Thanks.
We're not really going to be able to do this in time. Everyone's just doing buffs before they rotate.
Okay. Your middle tower is under attack. Attack! I'll attack! On my way!
I'm not really that tanky. I don't want to tank this. Damn, I tried to slow her. We couldn't really figure out what we wanted to do here. Like, that's why I said force the fight or free FG. If they come in, we fight them. They came in, we didn't fight them. Get out.
Culmination of my power! The Phoenix!
Oh, he didn't have a jump. That sucks.
ally has been slain.
Still, 2 kills after that is really good. They removed fire in all of us though, which obviously makes it not worth. Where the horseman at? Ooh.
Enemy spotted. I'll get.
Like carving through snow.
Kairund. I'm not the most useful in fights at the moment because we're not fighting yet. I'm kind of just been a snack. I've been fish food. Or bait. Actual fish bait right here.
Their weak flesh will meet my indomitable spirit.
Damn.
Slowly but surely.
Mamma mia, no.
We are just not... Like, we're so split, man.
Flame, protect me.
Damn, big damage on the Terra. I didn't do any fucking thing in that fight.
A tribute. A burden long forgotten.
Don't die here. Don't die. This man's dead. Oh. Oh, never mind. I had no faith. Shame on me. Yeah, I think right here is why Baka isn't like considered as strong as someone like Cerberus or Cthulhu. He struggles kind of like if he doesn't get a good ult in a team fight, he struggles real bad.
That is quite unfortunate.
Dude, I also just can't chase their carries. I can stick to no one actually. This is not a good Baka game either. Chiron literally just dashes away from me. Their fucking mid is so big or some shit. I'm actually pretty sure that's the case. It was so big mid.
You can hear the ocean, and it can hear you.
I can't fucking kill this so big, man. He plucks me and my ult's just not anywhere close. Oh, that sucks. I can't even get any wards. Damn bomb. I should never have picked it up. Alright, getting a sentry.
The land will be consumed by the waters.
I do wish I had Blink in this game, I'll tell you that.
The flame, protect me!
My ult wasn't popped yet. We just can't fight back, I guess. It just feels like it. We just get initiated on, and that's it. Like, I was the only one trying to peel for the Mulan there when they got initiated on. Like, what is everyone else doing at the time? I'm not really sure. His ult's up so soon. Dude, it's so much damage. Ult, aww. Look at that, dude. It's almost up.
Let them simmer in fear.
That's unfortunate.
They have shown their cowardice already.
Your Titan is under attack. Defend right lane.
Slowly but surely.
I think Bake is better than what's being shown in this game, but in this game I can't stick to anyone. That's legitimately my only problem.
Your middle tower is destroyed.
Just another teardrop in the ocean.
I mean... Right there was a good fight, it's just we weren't around. That sucks. This game is kind of on me, but mostly because I can't do anything as Sparky in this matchup. Literally nobody I can stick to. Because they have what? Chiron also does a surprising amount of damage.
Your right Phoenix has been destroyed.
Like, we kind of have two gods that kind of fall off going into late. Mulan jungle does not do well in late game unless we can pick off targets one by one. If she gets initiated on, she doesn't have a good response. She can't insta-kill someone like most assassins can. And that happened a lot of the time. Nesha just went on Mulan, and Mulan died. Couldn't do anything about it. Same thing with me. If they just turn on me when I ult, or as Chiron did, like the thing is, they had Sobek and Chiron, who both just knocked me the fuck out, and my ult becomes completely useless. So, just unfortunate. I feel like we kind of end up getting a comp diff in the end here. Our team fighting just wasn't as good. Yu Huang also isn't one of the more reliable mages in that aspect, but I mean, they had Sobek, so... Not really the best comparison in that regard. But yeah, I should have been doing more damage than this at this point in time. I almost caught the Chiron at the end there, which is so unfortunate. It's just that... Amma was near. I'm pretty sure Amma practically killed me alone, rather than Chiron even doing any damage. Can we get a land solo? We can. Maybe not in the next one, but I'm down to do some lands eventually. And don't waste your channel points. Eventually, I will have something channel points stuff you can spend it on. At this point, though, no matter what I add, you can waste all of your channel points on it, because you're probably the one who has the most, you know, on my channel. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe some people that watched me a long time ago that still watch me could obviously be a lurker somewhere that watched me back when I used to stream a lot as well. Maybe they have a bunch, but... Winari has more. Yeah, okay. Strong 17k, yeah. Oh, and Dutch, while you're here, I'm not hacking. My ult is fine. Trust me. 5x5 is me. I'm just chilling on that account. I don't know how the fuck that room even began. I'm just chilling. Just doing my fucking thing, not being recognized. At this point, it doesn't matter, because now people recognize me as a hacker, so whatever the fuck. But it's fine. I'm just gonna use my main account anyway at this point, because it was meant to be anonymous, but it's hard to be anonymous when everyone thinks you're a hacker. What are we looking at? Dude, I don't want to do a Guardian again. I'm actually getting tired of the Guardian Curse Reaper stuff. If Cthulhu's open, I'll pick it because I refuse to deal with it. But I'm actually just gonna... I'm gonna ban stuff. Just don't hack on the account, yeah. Yeah. Osiris is pretty fun. Osiris is pretty fun, yeah. Well, I actually don't like Osiris very much, but I haven't played him in a long time. We got Seagull too, damn. The big Seagull man has arrived.
Pick your god.
Tried Vamana? Never heard of him. I don't even know who that is. Hercules. 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 Alright. They picked something where, I mean, this could just be Alexia on the Hercules support. But if it isn't, I would have to deal with a lane bully, and if I'm dealing with a lane bully, I might as well just play something where I don't need to deal with it. They accuse of walls or aim. Yeah, and I don't understand why. I don't think I'm playing particularly well on that account. I'm just playing whatever the fuck. It's so weird. But it also makes it kind of scary, because that means people can just sometimes get randomly accused. And they don't have like a main account where I can just say, hey guys, it's just me, don't worry. It's maybe people are fucking not even hacking sometimes, and they just get accused of it. Though usually people like on this level are usually, if it's not a known name, it's an alt or some shit. It's an alt or a hacker, so I understand why people would accuse. It's just... it suddenly happened so fast. It's definitely more accusations than hackers, for sure. But there is also a lot of hackers. So it's hard not to be skeptical these days. I completely get it. Like, if I see someone who is completely no-named and they're hitting every auto, I'm like, dude, I don't know. That seems kind of sus to me. So I can't blame people for it. It's just... no, it's all right, Dutch. I get it. I completely get it. Apology accepted. It's all good. But either way, as mentioned, the ult was literally just made so that I can play on an account without being recognized and just kind of chill and not have to think about anything. That doesn't really matter anymore. Now everyone pretty much knows it's me, if I'm just gonna keep saying it's me. So I'll just mute my main account now. It kind of lost its purpose. Not to mention Smite 2 is coming out so soon. It does not matter at all. Yeah, there's so many hackers you're kind of brainwashed. Don't worry about it, man. Me too. What was my ult called? 5 times 5. I'm called 25. 5 times 5. It's very simple. 25 is just a number I thought of back when I made it. This pretty much it. I'm bad at names. I never know what to call myself in games. Dude, Sir Yeto? Dude, Sir Yeto is gonna sit here and tell me I picked Bake, and then he picks fucking Archer when I pick Lance? Oh my god. You're gonna whine about Bake Kujira? Dude. Right. Unbelievable. I don't want to hear anything ever again, Sir Yeto. I'm kind of getting a TP vibe from this, otherwise it's going to be a bad time, but no one cares. We accept the bad time.
Yes. Yes.
Our determination will bring us victory.
So basic.
Hey, Lobster Man. Good to see you. Yeah, all this my streamers won't know you anymore. Yeah. Surprising amount of people still recognize me. Earlier today in my first game, I think it was my first game, I got baby game trying to snipe Ducky. And someone recognized me in the baby game. That was fun.
Cancel that.
I have instant cast. Yeah, I could. Good. Yeah, getting called a hacker is a compliment? It is, yeah. I also didn't take it as a negative thing. I only hated it because the anonymity of that account is now gone. It's the only thing I tried to keep on it. I said it a few times on stream anyway. I was gonna reveal that account if it just came down to it. It just didn't really matter. Like, Smite 2's coming out so soon, it literally doesn't matter anymore. I am going full-time Smite 2, so... I am an idiot. I'm being distracted. I need to do tower start now.
Very well done indeed, sir.
Actually, we're good.
Done indeed, sir.
We're Gucci.
Face me. Words.
Stay back, stranger.
Face me. Words.
Dude, the slow! Oh my god. Creeps. What slowed me so much, dude? Do I not... Does her one in her... like, human form actually slow? I had no fucking idea if that's the case. What slowed me so much? Every lane just had one dying. Duo had one, mid had one, solo had one. Everyone died.
Your left tower is under attack.
Oh, never mind. The Cupid and Janus were... yeah, never mind. Some people gonna drop Smite 1, yeah. Dude, this is such a counter matchup.
An enemy has been slain.
Okay.
An ally has been slain.
It's looking kind of Jover, guys.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Completed.
I should probably just have taken the fight when he tried to fight me level 2 instead. Just go full Thorns, go all in, but it wasn't looking good for me, because he also had the heal on me and all that shit.
Okay.
Oof. I'm losing my blue buff this game.
Oh, now you run.
I should not have made it out of that.
My life is all but spent.
Ah, still did blue.
I will be sure to use this in the battles.
Dude, I had the greatest idea, man.
Be careful. Complete it.
I had the greatest idea. Just invade their blue? But no. They had things getting... Also... Thanatos is gonna help him out. Because he definitely couldn't have done that blue alone. Shit, man. It's just not looking good. It's tragic.
They should know that I am on the chase.
Wait, what? Oh, we also have Janus jungle. What the fuck did we decide to go with this game? We have Cupid mid, Janus jungle.
Complete it.
Also, Janus not knowing the timing on blue kind of worries me when he's a jungler. This shit has been done for a while. Where's the MMR service? I'm sorry, man. I'm really slacking on all the commands and stuff. Not an actual streamer.
Okay, so maybe a little something.
All right.
No problem.
This might be an early surrender, boys. This is the most Jover game I've seen in a while.
Your right tower is under attack. Enemy spotted.
On my way. Yes.
Fret not. Words. Your right tower is under attack.
Blue buff, boys.
Your left tower.
We're just gonna farm.
A weapon that
At least Neo reminded me that I should never first pick Lance. Because then you get counterpicked by Artio. You need to know what the fuck you're against when you pick Lance, man. This is like picking Tyr. But honestly, I think the Tyr pick is still better, because Tyr can still fight Artio, it's just that it's really annoying.
Your right tower.
Lance fucking can't. She's literally disabling my ability to run away. You're my favorite content creator? I appreciate it, Alcock. That's very nice of you to say, even if you're sarcastic. Stage first Pikachu got MMR cap. Makes sense. Archer is very good.
Time to ride. Face me.
Stay back, stranger.
Mamma mia, not again.
Dude, what Sir Yeto said before still kind of lingers in my mind. This motherfucker had the actual, like what you call it, like, pride to tell me that I was tryharding on Bake Kojiro. And then he picks this?
Another artifact from the Lady of the
Unfucking believable. I also just realized, what the fuck am I building? Dude, I'm building the recommended. Well, whatever. Honestly, Contagion is not bad here anyway. The audacity, yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Two meatballs is better than one.
Now
Actually, she disables 2 of my abilities. Dude, Archeo is actually broken. Why is Lance ever good if Archeo exists?
Face me! Yes.
Because no one wants to play Archeo? I like playing Archeo. I think Archeo is great. Archeo is a bit situational at times, I'll admit that.
Time to ride.
stay back, stranger.
Together we strike at the heart of evil.
I got something out of it, boys. Progress. Did you see how I got the Archeo ult? Good bait. The fuck?
Enemies in left lane.
What the I heard the Thanatos ult.
Enemies in left lane.
Enemy has been
Cover and feed. Face me.
Now you
My duty.
Come on, tower. Tower. Okay. Actually, just betrayed by the fucking tower. Okay.
think you're gonna just pass away like that?
Who's that jungler, by the way? Oh, right, Giannis.
Enemies of the Gold Fury.
He's AFK. Why is Soryeto AFK? I'm getting ready to pause if he DCs. I don't know if he just went AFK for a second. Yeah, he did. Damn. Dude, what the fuck? He DC'd on top of that? Okay, at least they paused. That's so weird. What timing for that to happen? He literally TP'd or went over the teleporter while DC'd and stood still there. Power play? Damn. Outplaying me even if he is offline. This man is something different. Oh yeah, you might want... Dude, I didn't even realize. Dude, I'm cooked. I didn't even realize I needed magical protection. That might have been a good idea, you're right. Alright, let's pause for them too.
An ally has been slain.
Cancel that.
Oh no. Giannis is on the tryhard train. No one wants to pause for the boys.
The light casts.
Dude, I don't want to win with an AFK or against an AFK. That fucking sucks, man. I mean, I'm getting a chance to catch up, I guess, but I suppose I'll just farm.
Mamma mia, not
Powerful now.
Alright, thank God he's back. I mean, at this point, I'm just gonna finish the item, but I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even realize. I went fucking Contagion
There is wisdom in
against a magical
to ride. old friend.
Magical wielder.
Okay, so maybe a little soft on my way. Someone.
Begging for a champion.
Unfortunate. I think I could have gotten him if I actually hit my one. I missed it like an idiot. Like a big dum-dum.
Stay back, stranger.
Face me.
Now you run.
Fear.
Stay back, stranger.
At the heart of evil. From the heavens. Stay back.
Unfortunate.
You think you gonna just pass away like that?
A moment to recover.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Another artifact from the Lady of the Lake.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing left.
Oh, she's there. On my way! On my horse! But this doesn't actually look very good for me. I should probably just go back to my lane because it's very deep. Why is she not taking any damage?
Mamma mia, not again!
Sadly, no.
Cower in fear. The champion beckons for a champion. May all remember
I shuck! Come here! Damn it. I fucked up so bad there. I should have had him. I'm just bad. I haven't played lands in a little while. I'm a little bit rusty. Alright, let's get some cooldown online with Pridwin. Oof.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left. Completed.
time to ride. For me, friend.
I mean, all things considered, it's not going as bad as it could have. We're getting towers back, Seagull is picking his stuff up as usual, carrying our asses. And, I believe. Okay, I mean, okay. Never mind, guys. False alarm.
Enemy missing
I'm ahead of Archeo though, obviously because of the DC, but also because she rotates a lot.
Ward here, ward here.
I think they have wards, guys.
The light. Time to ride, old friend.
I mean, I don't blame people for tryharding. I just find it funny that he should blame me for tryharding when he couldn't have picked something more tryhard into a lance. It's only that. I think people should tryhard in ranked. The ones that don't, I mean, obviously it's up to them, but it's not the first time I hear people blaming someone for tryharding in ranked. Like, what the fuck? What do you think I'm here? Like, Jesus Christ.
An ally has been slain.
So basic.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
Aw, man. Didn't think that was gonna finish him.
Out of mana.
Great portal.
So basic.
They will probably just get gold.
Yes, attack fire giant.
Like, I don't do any fucking damage. We need everyone here. Dude. There's no way.
Oh, now run.
Oh, inspiring. I have much to learn from you.
Good job. Small wins.
There is wisdom in defensive tactics.
Last, we are looking at a... Dude, Archie is also their only match. Dude, I really built this like an absolute idiot. I shouldn't even have only hunters. Damn. Dog streaming. Yapping in his sleep.
Defend the fire
They
giant.
should know
I'll
that
attack.
I am on
Enemy
the
missing.
chase. Time to ride, old friend. Face me! On my way.
An enemy has been slain.
Dude, they really want Seagull here. Dude. That's why we have to kill them. Dude, I don't understand the logic here of going on fire when we know that they have a ward on it, and then not killing them when they come in. We had one job. I'm saving my gold. I'm gonna get my starter here. Thorn stole it. That's one thing, but we also don't have secure when Janus dies. Like, legitimately no secure. Ah, whatever. I'm back and finishing my shit. This is definitely a brooch ankle for me. I won't be auto-attacking them a whole lot. I don't want to do redstone. Not to mention they have some pretty tanky frontliners, so the extra percentage damage will help a lot.
Cancel that. No problem.
Time to ride. At the heart of evil.
Dude, are you kidding me? How the Phantom Man? Do all that.
Lady of the Lake.
Okay, stop. Maybe a little soft did hurt some.
Closer.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
What a chase with my ult was up. Dude, that actually hit her. Dude, my ult just came up. Fuck. I was just trying to bait.
No problem.
Sad. Do you get Prit Shield on lands? I believe you do. Even if you don't, I'm willing to do it just for the damage it does. Because I'm pretty tanky, not dealing a whole lot of damage to the carries.
No problem.
Has destroyed the pyramid. Completed. A gift from the gods.
A gift from the gods.
Okay. Yes. No problem. Group up.
We need more. Such splendor. For me? Retreat!
Be careful.
They should know that I am on the chase. The enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
Gonna see jungle practice? Yeah. I mean, I think you do.
Time to ride, old friend. Your right tower. Your right
Damn.
tower has been destroyed. Walk it off. Your right phoenix is under its
An ally has been
Dude.
okay. Your right phoenix has been destroyed.
How do you get caught when you know he's right there, bro?
maybe a little. It is time for the main course.
Have fun.
Hey, Kagenton, what's up, man? Yeah, you do? That's good. Damn, I feel like this game was in our hands, but we either threw it. I mean, it was mostly in theirs, but we had a great chance at a comeback, but every time we just overchased. And then for some reason, people just couldn't deal with Thanatos. He always took care of Seagull first, and Seagull was pretty much the only one who could deal with him. Unless I was able to pick him up somehow. It was kind of a fun game though, but also not in the laning phase, because dealing with RTO is fucking nightmare. When you can't, like, you're literally nerfing two of my abilities. No, you're not nerfing them, you're making them useless. I also don't want to deny though, like, Thana played really well. There was definitely the one time under Phoenix where he got like 3 kills that I feel like he probably shouldn't have gotten. So I can only imagine he played that one pretty well. Or someone played really bad. Okay, we continue. Next up we have Midra. Midra is, unironically, also goated. I don't really have a problem in any way with this boss. I also think he's better than these two. He's better than Horalu, though. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm still going. Still going strong. Even though I've been losing the last few games. Meteor. Meteor is kind of weird for me to judge. Like, Meteor would obviously be in the cool lore section no matter what, but in terms of fighting the boss itself, I do think it's great. But I don't think it's near perfection. It definitely does have some problems. And then win a single set today, that sucks, man. It's better than these, I think. Probably something like this. I just realized how low Logarius is. Why is he all the way down here? Logarius is definitely better than some of the gods. I don't know why he keeps saying gods. Too much fucking smite. I think that makes a bit more sense. Okay. Next up, we have Needle, Knight, Leda, and her allies. Now, on my first playthrough, I fucked this up pretty bad. Because I progressed a little too far. Unfortunately. Let me grab support, Nick. You can do your carry thing. Where did I put it? Needle, Knight, Leda. Doing this fight alone kind of sucks. It's your usual gangbang NPC fight, and it's not very fun, because you end up just having to kite and fight, and it's not very fun to play. But if we... Actually, you know what? This probably just fits perfectly into the cool lore whatever boss. Sure. Cool lore whatever boss section. Because the story behind it, and just thematically, even the soundtrack is fantastic on this boss. But it's not very satisfying to play, I think. It's fun once. Once you've done it once, you don't really want to do it again. At least in my case. Unless you do it with the NPCs, then it's fine, right? But it's a bit hard to judge the NPC fights, I think. Today for the Q-Snipe. Are you actually high enough elo for the Q-Snipes, Bingus? Alright. A very controversial boss here. Consort of Mikola. The big boy himself. Yeah, I know you hate him, Neo. For me, he's here. For me, he's unironically nearly perfect. If it wasn't for the annoying obscure your vision bullshit that is a lot of on the fight, it would be perfect for me. Masochism Central. I hated this boss for the first, like, maybe 50 tries, but I really grew to like the boss. And especially after doing it a few more times during my like, second and third playthrough. It might be masochistic, but I love the fight. It feels nice to play. I'm not gonna lie. I like the flow. Yes, lock in Bake, please. It could be Guan Yu actually, when I'm looking at it. It's gonna be a mirror of what it was before. Bake is not gonna have a good time here. Well, assuming we get mid-game. Guan Jungle looks like it. Either that, you never know these days. It could be Bake Kujira Jungle. It could be Fafnir solo Bake support as well, to be fair. A lot of people do, or a decent amount of people do Fafnir solo. So anyway. Radan. I wanted to finish my thoughts on this. I do think I understand every criticism people have of the boss, but I think too many of them is simply like the weird comment of it's the same, but just reskinned or whatever, right? So, but still, I think it's great. I like it. That pretty much does it for the Elden Ring DLC outside of the smaller bosses. Like, I don't feel like judging all of these smaller ones. Like, some of them for sure. We can use, like, Demi-Human Swordmaster Ons is pretty fucking cool. It's such a cool idea. It's Yoda, guys. It's Yoda. Everyone knows it. It's fucking Yoda. I thought this boss was good. It deserves to be in the good section. Like right here-ish. That's cool. I liked it a lot. You put Ons in nearly perfect. It was just too easy for me, I think. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. He's kind of the glass cannon type boss, which is definitely cool, but... Yeah, he would. That's the thing. If he had a second phase and a bit more of like a, you know, treated like an actual boss, he would have been like nearly perfect or goated for sure.
OMG, this pond was so
It's definitely a TP game in this one. Yeah, because I'm playing for the mid game. I could be trying Thorns and just go full ham on him, but I really don't think I need to do that this game. Bake will win the early laning no matter what. You're not winning against Bake's clear. All I need to do is make sure I'm not falling behind him and he is an actual salmon. Like a nice salmon lunch when we hit mid game. Yeah, I think we agree with the Ons is best non-main boss in the game. Probably, yeah. Definitely in terms of dungeon bosses. I mean, I can just touch on a few of these. I think the Furnace Golems are incredibly cool cinematically, but obviously they're not very satisfying as a boss, and they kind of fall into the usual category of just a Tower Knight. It's another Tower Knight, guys. You hit him till he falls over, and that's it. The Hippo is pretty cool. It does have one, like, the grab attack it has a bit of a strange hitbox sometimes. I have definitely been hit by that shit when I weren't not near it. Once or twice, but I don't think it's horrible for me to have it a negative. Well, there's obviously a negative on the boss, but I still like the boss. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of it. What else? The rest is just kind of NPC fights. The Death Knights. Death Knights I actually will rank. I think the Death Knights are fucking awesome. I actually think the Death Knights take my #1 spot as the best dungeon bosses. I think they legitimately challenged me. I think they're great. Probably just low grade, but they're fucking great. I love them. Yeah, I'll take a look after the game, Neon.
I'll attack the Gold Fury.
Oh, have fun.
Thanks.
I know we can win.
The gods smile upon you.
I think the Death Knights were the first boss, like, overall, to actually challenge me in the DLC too. I thought I pressed my ability, I guess I did. It's an oof moment. Juked. That's very good for me. And I'm glad he went Thorns now that I went TP.
Enemies in right lane.
Completed.
I have this song on my brain, and I've had it in my brain for about 2 weeks now, guys. And no spoilers, but the new Deadpool movie has a certain song in it. And I can't get it out of my head. It's actually stuck. I don't know what to do, I might need help. He's going mystical mail as well. He's going full ham on the AoE stuff. And aura usage. Classic.
Enemy missing. Yes. What about an Arctic fox onesie?
I don't want to go to cinema? Damn. It's the first movie in my case for a long time that has gotten me into the cinema. I'm pretty sure the last time I was in the cinema, it was for Endgame.
Enemies in the right jungle.
I'm not much of a cinema guy in general, so...
Mamma mia, not again!
Cinema man. You're living there. I believe it. I can see it.
An enemy has been slain.
OMG. This paw necklace is right on your feet.
I mean, this one's already instant cast. I need to eventually, I don't want to do it now, because it's going to have to take a little time for me to get used to it, but I need to put Armor 2 on instant cast. I think the dash I want to keep as not instant cast, because it's so fucking weird. It's kind of like Hercules' dash, where it's sometimes just incredibly delayed. Or it like lags a bit, or something like that. It's very weird. I hope they fix Armor's dash in Smite 2. So it feels less clunky.
Ooh, why isn't this shiny?
It's like old Herc dash, pretty much. It's still, the thing is, Herc dash still does it sometimes. You can't flick it. Then he's gonna like move in a weird direction.
You must have broken on the meat.
On my way.
So sorry.
Ally has been slain.
Curses!
Damn, I could have yoinked blue as well. He really wants to deny, it feels like. I wanted to hit him in the wave, didn't work out.
Everyone carries their tail their own way.
You think you gonna just pass away like that?
Wait, you're soloing to Seagull? Oh, Seagull missed his Q, I guess.
Gotta be sneaky.
I almost screwed that one up.
You look just like a firefly.
Kind of premature thorns.
Gotta be right on your feet.
Did he just hit level 10? There's no way. I must have seen that wrong. There's no way he just hit level 10.
On my way.
Really? You actually want to fight this? Because I don't think you want to.
Enemy spotted. On my way. Have fun.
He's in left lane. Oh no, I always shed when I'm nervous.
Dude, go away. Dude, I was expecting the blink. I assumed that's why he chased.
Oh my
But
goodness, this is just the cutest.
that's funny still. One old blink.
Ready to take over the world with.
I wonder why you guys in a different game. Was it a different queue, Neo? Or was it in the same time frame? Oh, I see it. Okay.
Gotta be right on your feet. Oh, why isn't this shiny?
Okay, let's back off here. This is attack speed, right? Yeah. Scrap that.
Everyone carries this down their own way. Completed.
Oh, he still got it. Oof. I don't want it back. I can stick around. Dude. Kuda, why? Kuda went and yoinked my goddamn XP on the blue. He's still really willing to fight. I'm getting very close. And then that whale is a simple snack. Dude, I suck. I can't believe I had to ult him. I don't have a fucking dash. I played that so bad. I couldn't have missed any more than I did. Damn it. Back to the whale.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
On my way. I'll gank middle lane.
Is that an ult? Yep. Let's actually finally upgrade TP here. Next up, I might actually do breastplate. No, not breastplate. Maybe contagion, honestly, just for the afro. I'm not sure if we are getting anything else, so screw it. I'll do contagion. There's a lot of stuff I could build here. This is just super filler.
Enemy missing.
Enemy spotted!
That's sad. Oh, why isn't this shiny? Gotta be sneaky.
Dude, where is the whale? I haven't seen him in years.
Be careful. Enemy missing left. Light on your feet.
Double kill.
Your right tower is under attack.
An enemy has been slain. No! Don't come back again!
Unfortunate. That was the shutdown too.
Curses!
Poor thing.
Also, is that an ADC, Fafnir? It is. It's Big Doings. Didn't even realize. No wonder he does so much damage with his damn breath. There's an Aphrodite Fafnir duo lane. Okay. Alright. I need axe real fast. Dude, I shouldn't go Contagion then. Because I didn't realize he was doing so much damage. I need protection against him. More than Kusari. I think I need Spirit Rope.
Cancel that!
It's either Spirit Rope, or maybe I could even be a little cheeky and go for a Mantle of Discord. Just for the stun if he gets me low enough. Because considering he's the ADC, I mean, I'll still be focusing Uller for the most part, but that Fafnir needs to die as well. Dude, this whale just isn't around anymore.
Enemy spotted! Oh my goose, this is just the cutest. On my way.
Our vision also kind of sucks on this side. Alright. That was a pretty nice one, but that was also... I don't know, the person who played solo on their team was... I don't know. Non-existent, or at least doesn't play solo normally. Because he had definitely a wrong build. I think starting with... I mean, first off, Sigil is not really good, especially on Bake Kojiro. Even then, he had a lot of pressure, but... that will happen into armor as well, for a lot of things. Yeah, so much of my damage was slapping the whale. Actually, what time is it? Damn it, dude. I didn't even realize what time it was. This is where I'm gonna have to end it. I started a bit early today because I knew I couldn't stream for as long as well. And there was a slight warning that maybe it was too hot to stream as well, but honestly, it's been fine. I think the sun went away. Yeah, it's already fucking... yeah, it's completely filled with clouds. No sun. And also, the tier list is done for all of the FromSoft bosses. For the people that may have been interested in that, that is done for now. Or is done. So I need a new tier list eventually. Neo, you said you sent me something. You haven't sent me anything. Oh, you sent it in the chat, I see. Let me take a look. What do we got here? 2 Dark Souls 3 zones. I think for now I'm gonna move on from these tier lists. If you really want me to, I can make this one real fast. Like, it's not gonna be hard. Because I probably agree with most of this. I think I would put Anno Londo higher a bit. But I think the rest is pretty much the same. I think I'll put Lothric as well on, like, on... well, you have it on S. You just really want Irithyll up there. That's fair. Like, it's pretty much the same, man. It's not a big difference. We gotta find a new tier list. So next stream, I'll figure that stuff out. But for now, I really fucking appreciate you guys watching as always. And I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. If I am not, I will tweet it out. But we'll see. Bye.